Today, we're diving into the brilliant work of Daniel Kahneman to meet the two characters running the show inside your head. You may not know their names, but trust me, they're making almost every single one of your decisions. All right, let's kick things off with a little brain teaser. Have a look at the question on your screen. Now, don't overthink it, okay? Just go with your gut. What's the very first number that pops into your head? You got it? Good. Hold on to that answer. So if you thought 24 days, hey, you are in very good company. That was your brain's fast automatic system just jumping to what feels right. But the correct answer is actually 47 days. Think about it. If the patch doubles every day and it covers the entire lake on day 48, well, it must have covered half the lake the day before, right? This little puzzle perfectly exposes the two competing systems at work in our mind. Kahneman breaks all this down by introducing us to two characters who are basically the stars of our mental life. He calls them, very simply, System 1 and System 2. You can think of them as the odd couple living in your brain. And really, understanding the relationship is the key to, well, pretty much everything. So what are their jobs? Well, System 1 is the hero of the story. It's your gut reaction. It's lightning fast, totally automatic, and runs on intuition. It's the part of your brain that reflexively yelled out 24 days. Then you have System 2. It's the slow, careful, analytical director. It requires real conscious effort to get it to do anything, which is why most of the time it's just happy to let System 1 run the show. And let's be super clear here, we absolutely need System 1. As Kahneman points out, we couldn't function without it. I mean, can you imagine having to logically analyze every single tiny choice you make all day, from picking up a fork to understanding what I'm saying right now? It would be utterly exhausting. System 1 handles all that routine stuff on autopilot, saving our precious mental energy for the big stuff. So let's zoom in on this fast-thinking hero, System 1. The main thing you need to get is that you can't just turn it off. It's always on, constantly making connections just under the surface, whether you want it to or not. Take a look at these two words. Yeah, I know, they're not pleasant, but in the split second it took for you to read them, your mind did something pretty incredible. You didn't just read two words, did you? No way. Your mind probably flashed some kind of gross image. You maybe felt a tiny physical wave of disgust, and your brain instantly cooked up a story to link them. You were even subtly primed to recognize related words, like sickness or illness, a little faster. And all of that happened instantly, without you even trying. This whole process has a name. Kahneman calls it associative activation. It's the key to how System 1 works. You can think of it like a giant, non-stop connection machine, constantly weaving together a story about the world based on all these hidden automatic links. Okay, but here's the catch. While System 1 is a brilliant storyteller, it's not always a truthful one. To be fast, it has to take shortcuts. And those shortcuts, they lead to predictable, systematic errors in our thinking. We usually just call them cognitive biases. Kahneman calls these cognitive illusions, and that is the perfect name for them. It's exactly like an optical illusion. You know those pictures with two lines that look like they're different lengths? Even after you measure them and know for a fact they're the same, your brain still sees one is longer. That's how cognitive biases work. Just knowing about them doesn't make you immune. Check out this fascinating experiment that shows one of these illusions in action. Researchers put up a poster with a picture of watching eyes over the honesty box in an office kitchen. And get this, people put in nearly 3 times more money for their coffee and milk than when the poster just had flowers on it. Nobody was consciously thinking, oh, those eyes are watching me, I better pay up. It was a completely automatic System 1 reaction. This invisible little nudge is called priming. The image of the eyes, this ancient symbol of being watched, primed people to act more honestly. It's a really powerful reminder that our intuitive System 1 is constantly being influenced by subtle things in our environment that we don't even consciously notice. So you're probably wondering, if our fast-thinking System 1 can be tricked so easily, why doesn't our logical, careful System 2 just step in and fix things? Well, it turns out there's a very simple reason for that. To put it bluntly, System 2 is lazy. Our brains operate on what you could call a law of least effort. Real, deep, analytical thinking is metabolically expensive. It literally burns sugar. So, unless it absolutely has to, System 2 prefers to just chill on the couch and let the efficient, effortless System 1 run the show. So how do you get this lazy controller to actually do some work? It's simple. You introduce a little bit of friction. In this one amazing study, when students got puzzles in a nice, clear font, A whopping 90% of them made at least one mistake. But when the font was blurry and hard to read, the error rate dropped all the way down to 35%. That cognitive strain, that little bit of difficulty, it was like an alarm bell for the brain, telling System 2, hey, wake up, pay attention, and check this. So what's the big takeaway here? The goal isn't to get rid of our fast, intuitive System 1. That's impossible, and frankly, we'd be lost without it. The real skill is learning how to get them to work together, to foster a partnership. It's about figuring out when to trust your gut and when to pause and call in System 2 for a second opinion. And this is one of Kahneman's most crucial insights. We are just terrible at catching our own biases in the moment. See, a bias doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like the right answer. So the secret isn't trying to spot the bias itself, but learning to recognize the situations where we're most likely to fall into one of these traps. So here's the game plan, a simple 3-step process. First, just learn to recognize when the stakes are high. Is this a big decision where a mistake would really cost you? That's your cue to slow down. Next, actively resist the first easy answer that your System 1 serves up. And finally, deliberately wake up that lazy System 2. Ask yourself critical questions like, okay, what evidence might prove my gut feeling wrong? Or what information am I not seeing? And that brings us to a final question for you. Now that you know all about your two minds, as you've been listening to all of this, which one do you think has been in charge? For most of it, it was probably your effortless System 1, just absorbing the story. But hopefully, we also gave your more deliberate System 2 a few things to really chew on. Understanding this constant dance that's happening between your fast and slow thinking is really the first, most powerful step you can take toward making better judgments. Thanks for digging into this with us.